the National Youth Survey has its potential and its limitations. There are fears that, despite the best of intentions, the knowledge gained by the survey's findings will stay on paper instead of being used to formulate constructive, youth-centric policies. But if, on the other hand, these policies are made and implemented, what will they involve? Shifan spoke with Dr. Ranasinghe, Deputy Director of the Social Policy and Research Centre of the University of Colombo, to find out.
The second National Youth Survey was conducted in 2009. Given the limitations of the survey, the sample, as well as the absence of 3 districts, would you say that the survey reflects the reality?
Well, I say conditionally yes, because most of the surveys that Sri Lanka conducted last until the end of the war, these 3 districts are excluded. And in our exercise, we collected data in 2 different ways. One is the survey, and we also had a series of focus group discussions and interviews like that, case studies. And I hope, although we could not cover these districts per se from the survey, we had the opportunity to get the opinion of the people living in that area through this focus group discussion. Therefore, although the survey is not sufficient to cover the entire country, we had the chance to get the opinion of the people about the northeast areas. So I think it's quite comfortable that we can just generalize that as a national survey.
This is the second such survey conducted by Spark, and it's about a decade since the first survey was conducted. Do you see any differences, any pattern shifts during that period?
Well, there are, yes, in some cases, yes. Now, for example, about the political ideology of the people, there are some kind of a shift from the ideas, and also about the job aspirations, and that's a kind of a remarkable point, identification that in the Youth Survey 1, the large majority of youth reported us that they are willing to take private sector jobs, and they are looking for that. But that has shifted to the public sector jobs in to the last survey, Youth Survey 2. Our interpretation to this is the fact that very recently government offered a large number of public sector jobs, and therefore they have now changed their mind, and because from the beginning they were looking for public sector jobs, and in the absence of such jobs for a long time period, they were given it up, discouraged looking for public jobs, and then they were looking for private sector jobs. Now they are coming back to the public sector looking for public sector jobs. So that's some aspirational changes over time.
So like, as you say, the survey brings out some very key new information. How does Spark want to see all this information being used?
Well, actually from the very beginning of this exercise, actually not only this, all our studies conducted with Spark, we are, our first priority is to give for the action-oriented research, and therefore we need the government, other interested parties, other stakeholders to take actions to bridge this gap, because now with the the war is over now, so now we can work really towards this more harmonious environment, and therefore I think there are universities and various other organizations. We invited all of them for our conference, and the main interest of inviting them to be there is to take actions, because now we identify the problem and we need immediate actions to be taken to remove this, because this is the whole purpose of the Spark research.
And one key partner has been the Ministry of Youth Affairs,
yes,
whom you said has been involved from the very beginning. Can you talk about what kind of a role the Ministry of Youth Affairs should be playing in the future?
One of the main partners in actions is the ministry. At the moment, I think ministry has a lot of strategies to go with these youth problems. Now, youth councils and a lot of other institutions, working on these things. But what we suggest is that they have a wider focus of their policies than just helping the youth to their I think presently most of the youth councils programs are aiming at improving the skills of the kids, young people, and then kind of entertainments kind of things and that kind of thing. But I think they have to expand that, especially to lead them to take the leadership And that kind of things we need to, I think, work with the ministry to implement up to that level.
What is your experience of such findings being translated into policy? Now, this first survey was conducted almost a decade ago. What happened back then, and what is it that you want to see happening now?
Yeah, practically we can't expect everything. No, there are a lot of practical problems
Certainly.
that policymakers are also facing. So practically we can't expect that everything to be implemented in short time period. But in general, I think I have to say that under whatever the regimes, I think it is not at a very high level of satisfaction. Most of the recommendations when it comes to implementation were very weak, and they sometimes the implemented policy is not really what this report are asking for. There are a lot of gaps between this what we recommend and what actually finally implemented. So we have to, I think, find a way to fill this gap. So I think best way is to fill this gap is to work with these policymakers from the beginning, rather than just finding and then present to them. Work with them from the beginning and then work with them until they implement the things. So I think we are in that track now.
We're going in for a quick break, but when we come back, we look first at the disaster brought on by the heavy rains of the past weeks, and later at the annual Vesak celebrations. Stay with us.